listeners, this is Deborah from Getting Down and Dirty with Deborah. Today we have an anti-communist Christmas special. As we enter a new decade, let's look at our decade highlights. Hello fellow Americans! Thanks for tuning in on Getting Down and Dirty with Deborah. Today we'll be talking about communism and the rise of it with a real-life communist. I never thought I'd see the day where I'd actually have to talk to one of those people.
Okay, that was a little rude, but however, I am in fact an American communist, and I'm here to talk about the history of communism. Shall I begin?
Of course, Mr. Communist. I'm ready whenever you are.
The story is truly repulsive, but let's just get this thing over with.
You know what? You're a truly repulsive person. Also, my name's not Mr. Communist. But anyways, see, back in 1848, Karl Marx and a friend of his wrote the Communist Manifesto, which had the purpose of getting people to go against capitalism. Then in 1917, Vladimir Lenin and the Bolsheviks took power in Russia, taking out the monarchy and bringing about a communist government. And they actually had an election, and when Lenin lost, he forcibly took power anyway, which was really cool of him. Then this very scary Red Scare happened here in America, which was totally dramatized. There was absolutely nothing to worry about, trust me. And if anything, Americans should have accepted the communist way of life. But anyways, during that period, the Tsars were executed, and then Lenin established labor camps and police state tactics. Pretty cool stuff, if you ask me.
The story gets worse every time I hear it. I don't understand how you think any of what you just said was good. It's disgusting.
Listen, our goals are beyond your understanding, plebeian. You know what? You really are.
Okay, everyone! That's all we have time for this section of the news. Please continue to listen because you're going to get even more delectable and juicy information in our next segment. Hello and welcome back. Since we just talked about the rise of communism, let's now talk about even more communism. Yay! Take it away, Mr. Communist.
You're not very sly with your sarcasm. Like I said before, I have a name.
Let's get going.
I'm this close to raging right now. But, anyway, as I already said, in 1917, Lenin became the leader in the Soviet Union. Then in the following year, he killed the former ruler, Tsar Nicholas II, and his family. I'm not really sure if they deserved it. Maybe they did. Then Lenin had an unfortunate death. Our dear leader died, and then Stalin, his predecessor, took control in 1924. Then, 3 years later, he ordered the eradication of Islam, which was, I don't really know the reason for that, but in his reign so far, he's rapidly industrialized the country. He also wanted to persecute rich farmers. Then he also went to, sent 15 million peasants to the Arctic regions. A third of them died. He also convicted 1,778,000 people of crimes they probably committed. Also, countries like China are also converting to communism. Yay!
Everything you just said was truly horrible. My ears feel like they're bleeding. Is it just me, or do you also hear an ear-piercing ring?
You honestly suck. The Soviet Union is better than this forsaken country.
Well, you heard it here, folks. Some of the more recent information on communism in our country and beyond. We will continue this lovely chat after a short break and PSA, so take it away. Now we are joined by Fire Captain Brad, and there's something he'd like to share.
Thank you, Deborah, for the introduction. Citizens, on May 15th, the Cleveland Clinic caught on fire. With the help of our local fire investigators, it has been found that the cause was a 100-watt incandescent light bulb exploding because of heat exposure. Although we were able to control and maintain the fire, so many lives were lost, since so many people had to be hospitalized because of the exposure to poisonous gas. Law enforcement and the fire department are given gas masks and an ambulance for quick on-site medical care. For citizens, it is encouraged to follow new safety regulations and to have fire extinguishers in each room with a flammable object. Be your own hero and save your own family.
Thank you so much, Captain. Now, back to the story. The war against Germany has ended, and America won the war. Our country has entered into a new age of peace and tranquility. Let's hear from the other side of the war today on Getting Down and Dirty with Deborah.
To be honest, it was kind of a sad ending for our side of the war. Recently, just as America's going into a new age, so is Russia. Russia's trying to establish a new communism and abolish the old one.
And these bombings that these communists do, they're killing people. It doesn't matter if your targets are high-ranking officials and not the U.S. population. Murder is murder.
They do have a point. Murder is murder. Tell me, How are you guys managing to bomb major cities like Cleveland, Boston, DC, Philadelphia, and New York City?
Well, that's pretty simple, Debs. Thanks to the 70,000 people who have joined our new communism, we are able to be more effective. We even changed our flag to be encased in more red.
Well, your flag certainly does now have an impact on what society calls the new time of the new communism. It's the Red Scare. It's what I believe they call it.
Doesn't matter what they call it. Our goals remain unchanged.
Yes, right. Folks, this is Getting Down and Dirty with Deborah, and she's signing out for this segment. We'll be right back. And we're back! Now let's be realistic. We're all scared here. We can't possibly know everything. And in this changing time, it feels like a lot to us, and we are in a constant state of unknowing. We see this unknowing and fear manifesting around us, and it's hard to wrap your head around. I mean, how many of us really knew what communism was until a couple of years ago?
You know, Deborah, that's a pretty true thing. We fear what we do not know. That has been so perfectly exemplified with this whole scare. The war was a terrifying thing. Mass death resulting in mass hysteria, and this whole situation has exaggerated a bit.
We may not agree on a lot of things, but we do agree on that. The fear that from the war was very real for us. Our people suffered, our economy suffered, but most importantly, our country suffered. We're seeing everyone become a target. No one is safe from the scrutiny, but I'd rather our government be thorough than let these things slide.
I see. Yes, the raids, which we will cover right after this, are definitely causing panic and fear in our country. Do we see fear presenting itself in any other way in regards to the so-called Red Scare?
Of course. See, America is kind of going through something called isolationism. This is like anti-immigration stance that's been taken against other countries, especially Eastern Europe. People are fearful of their neighbors, their employers, and even their families just because they don't fit into the perfect mold of American.
They're scared for a good reason. I mean, who can you trust at this point? These communists have infiltrated everything. They've brought their languages, rituals, and ideologies and are trying to take over America and destroy democracy.
Oh, please. They are just people who have come from other countries with other values and languages. And you can't see past your own bigotry and ignorance. In your world, anyone who isn't you is a communist.
Because they just might be. How should I know?
Oh my God. You see, Deborah, this is the fear we are seeing spread over America. Completely baseless, nationalistic fear and rage that this government has pushed onto its people. They are scared out of their minds because they simply don't know.
Well, that certainly is an interesting take from both sides. Of course, I don't really take sides here, so I will not be commenting, but I enjoyed the mini-fight. Up next, we'll be going into the rights that have been violated and the overall government reaction to all this jazz. Up next, so stay tuned. But now, an ad for a new revolutionary invention, so listen up.
Are you tired of bad breath? Well, so are we. This is our solution, Listerine. Listerine with one shot back and a couple of swashes in your mouth gets rid of all the bad breath. So you can talk to whoever you want, your friends, your loved ones, your parents, and you don't have to worry about bad breath.
Okay, and now on to more of a sadder side to this whole happening. Over these years, we've had a lot of distrust through the government, and one way that manifested at the beginning of this Red Scare was the Palmer raids. Can you both give me a little bit of an idea as to where you stand on these raids and the potential violation of American rights they brought?
Oh, I'd love to, Deborah. All that has happened and continues to happen is a direct violation of American rights, privacy, and, well, it's just all around horrible. Wasn't this country founded on the principles of freedom? And how come your government has seemingly forgotten that in order to fit the narrative they want to believe?
Now hold on a second. These things you're denouncing are all for the betterment of America and the safety of the American people. My country's citizens should be able to feel safe and not worry about people like you around them.
But did it really work? I mean, the raids cost the arrest of how many people? Anywhere from 3,000 to 10,000? And did you find any substantial evidence to indict them of communism or anarchy? No, not really. Most of them just committed the oh so awful crime of being not from America. And what even was the purpose of these raids? I mean, come on, for real. To make Mr. Palmer look better for his campaign. Yet, didn't he end up failing to even get nominated by his own party?
I mean,
Listen. And what about those men, huh? charged with murder and robbery, hung and were guilty of nothing more than potentially supporting the anarchist movement.
Now, they were guilty. I won't have you saying they weren't.
Fine. Well, the Espionage Act, that just fully infringes on the freedom of speech, doesn't it? Just a plethora of rights violations.
Woo, let's settle down. You've made your points, it's a lot, and we only have so much time. Thank you both for coming and giving your side. It was not necessarily a pleasure, but certainly interesting. Now, on a lighter note, let's talk about movies.
Alrighty, just some quick, simple fun for the year to end off on a rather heavy segment. Today, Pandora's Box was recently released into theaters, and recently it's been worth a watch. The Haunted House was also recently released, and a spooky special featuring everyone's favorite mouse, Mickey! And finally, a good romantic comedy to end the year, The Love Parade, a truly lovely watch. Thank you all for tuning into this special end of the year broadcast. We talked politics and got a generally good view of it all. Stick around in the upcoming year and have a good night.